Welcome back to the world of pop.
I'm just gonna let you do it from now on.
22. I thought you wanted me to do it from now on, Mr. Producer.
I don't know. I guess it's one less thing. So you got the intro.
Producer director.
Hey, thanks for watching the world of pop, and please subscribe on our YouTube and Spotify and whatever else you like.
Yeah, whatever you can. If you turn notifications on,
please,
cool.
please, please do it.
We're on a pretty good schedule.
Every week, new content.
Mondays.
You could additionally follow us on social media and get just a bunch of other random cool stuff. But if you're not that social, YouTube episodes every week, Spotify, listen to us while you work out, on your way to work.
Yeah.
Whatever you
do. Driving around, having a cruise. That's a thing that I do a lot.
Yeah. But how have you been? It's springtime.
I'd be better if people bought more coffee.
I would too. So that's a call
to all
to
of
action.
Our wonderful listeners.
For all of you.
Go ahead. We dare you.
We dare you to subscribe both to our YouTube and our coffee, because I think that if you do, you might be surprised how much you love it.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. Anyway,
what's going on? What's going on with you?
It's going to be a good show.
What are you doing? What are we doing right now?
Into the show.
As the show is being recorded, Josh is making Passover dinner.
Yes, it is the season. It's Pesach is what we call it. It's Passover or Pesach, and we got some stuff in the oven. So if you hear a little beep beep, I gotta go check the oven. We're cooking all day.
Got to check the taters.
Yeah, no, we got different things. I'm doing a slim down Seder. That's the festive meal, but I don't. It's just me and the two kids, so we're not. I'm not cooking for a whole tribe.
Yeah, for sure. As
I grew up. It was a fair. It's actually 2 days. Today's the first day.
Yeah.
So some people cook enough food and prepare for 2 days of, So yeah, matzo ball soup tonight. If you haven't had it, you're missing out. Happy Passover. And like I was saying, we got a really freaking good show. I'm really hyped about it. What did we make?
Oh man, we made oat milk,
and it's in this coffee right now.
And when I say we, I mean I made oat milk.
It was my idea, though.
It was Josh's idea. Josh bought me oats and was like, hey, you should make this oat milk. And I got here, and I made it.
It's mighty.
And it's damn good.
Mighty good.
I first made it. The first batch I made sucked really bad. It's still in the fridge. It was fucking gross. It was slimy. Everything about it was wrong.
But why? Why was the first batch we made not good?
I think that it was because the water that I used was too warm.
Yeah,
I might have pulled out a little too much starch in those oats. So oat milk, unlike nut milks, I don't know if any of our listeners at home or if you have ever made nut milk, but you use bags.
I have not.
You use bags essentially. It's the same process. It's fine chopping, usually with a blender or a food processor. Nut of choice with water. Putting it inside of a fine mesh bag.
Okay.
Squeezing the shit out of it.
It's kind of like making hash.
Squeezing, yeah, kind of like making hash.
Yeah,
if any of our listeners out there have ever delved into hash making.
Yeah, sifting through the bags.
Yeah, it's kind of like making hash, but, with nut milk, you got to squeeze the bags. You want to squeeze all the liquid that you possibly can out of the nuts. Whereas with oat milk, you don't want to squeeze it because you're going to be squeezing a bunch of shit out of the oats that you don't want in your milk. It's going to make it slimy. It's going to make it too thick. It's going to make it not good. So the second batch of oat milk that
we used a special ingredient that came, again, I'll shout them out. I have before, Aunt Val and Uncle Jeff in Maine, Castine, Maine. They send me the best maple syrup.
Honestly.
On God's green earth.
Pulling, every time I come over to Josh's apartment, which is about once a week, I grab the maple syrup out of the fridge and I just take a pull. It's so good.
You're from the Midwest and you take a pull of the syrup.
You know what season it is? Sap season.
Dude, this joint is like smoking so much.
I know.
I don't know. It's like abnormally.
Somebody should get him on an after-school program to teach him about the dangers of smoking. Anyways.
So back to the oat milk with syrup. So, I just like saying it that way. Sorry, everybody. That's very off-putting. Maple syrup, 100% pure maple syrup. Don't use anything else. I don't know why you would even buy log cabin or whatever. You should definitely not be using that on your pancakes either. But in your oat milk, it's essential to use high-quality oats and a sweetener. And a secret thing that our article that we used to do this didn't tell us was at the end you need to put a pinch of salt. We use pure maple syrup and a pinch of pink Himalayan salt, and this turned out fantastic. I mean, cheers to you for being the oat milk master.
Yeah. So again, and we're telling you this because oat milk is surprisingly really fucking easy to make.
Yeah. So if
you got
oatmeal.
If you have a blender,
in a blender,
a
NutriBullet. I had a NutriBullet.
We used a NutriBullet. It was not hard.
And a mesh, like a stainless steel mesh, like strainer for noodles.
Not for noodles. You should try and get the one that you had. It was a little bit too.
A little finer.
Get a little finer.
Micron, a finer. Oh yeah, for sure.
Strain out
smaller holes.
Most of the solids, but yeah. We're just telling you this because, unlike nut milks, which a lot of the times, unfortunately, you'll need to buy specific equipment for, etc. You don't need to, but it makes it easier. You don't need to do that with oat milk. You can just make it.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked because it's so popular.
It took me literally like 5 minutes to make the first batch and like maybe 4 to make the second.
And we compared it also. Just
we're both drinking iced coffee with. With oat milk in it.
Yeah, but I compared
homemade maple flavored oat milk
to the barista blend oat milk that's so popular from the Califia Farms, and they, I think I want to say it was $5 for a carton of it. So you could substantially save a lot of money if you bought yourself some nice organic oats.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys know this, but oats are really cheap.
Yeah, I think the
oats are incredibly cheap.
Carton of oats was like $5.
Yeah, and realistically, to make
or you can buy this much oat milk for $5.
Yeah, you can buy like a pint of oat milk and waste money, or you can buy a gallon of oats for less than $5, and however much water it costs to fill up a fucking blender. Municipal water. I mean, it's not even very expensive. Yeah,
I mean, not even a gallon. I'm thrilled with it though, and it definitely got me thinking about maybe doing some more DIY milk things like we're gonna try to make.
I really want to make hemp milk.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I wanted to mention one thing about making oat milk, so let's just walk through it real quick again. But real quick, you get the oats in the blender, the water, cold water. We're gonna come out with a video tutorial. We filmed this, so
cold water is really important.
Yeah. But once you blend it up, another thing that we didn't mention that is really important is when you're pouring it into the strainer, you need to, don't push it through or anything, like with a spoon or anything, like let gravity bring it through and maybe do 2-3 passes of filtration there.
Yeah, I think I strained this one 4 or 5 times, and there's still a good amount of sediment in it. It could be better, but it's pretty good.
It's really good.
It's really good.
And it tastes oaty. It tastes a little slightly sweet, slightly salty. It's exactly what you want in a good iced coffee.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's actually better than the store-bought.
I've really outdone myself if I have to say it.
I don't know if you can tell everybody, but I'm really impressed. This man made oat milk. It's so good. And I'm also jacked off this new Chemex we bought. He made some really damn good coffee. First go. This is actually the first use of this Chemex.
Yeah. Oh my god. Also, I've never seen. Sorry, we were not going to talk about this on the show today, but I've never seen an 8-cup Chemex.
But we love Chemex. Chemex, if you're out there, we love you.
I love this 8-cup Chemex. I've literally never seen one of these. I've seen 3 cups and I've seen 6 cups.
Yeah.
And this thing, it's a slightly different design than the traditional Chemex. It's got a wider, flat spot on it, and it's got a little bit of a bevel towards the bottom.
Right here.
That's a little bit more gradual.
I think it makes it look a little. It kind of weights it to the table better.
Yeah, because those 6-cup Chemexes, I love you, Chemex. You're a great company, but your 6-cup Chemex is just like such a fucking awkward device to have on top of a counter. It's too bulbous. I'm sorry.
This fits the grip, like
yes. The 8-cup Chemex that you guys have released, I don't know if this is new or if I've just never seen it, but this thing is kind of hot.
I'm
kind of into it.
I'm going to pour it so everyone can see how it functions perfectly.
Wow.
Beautiful pour. Didn't spill a drip.
Oh, that's all skill.
Go cop yourself an 8-cup Chemex. But also, you can, we've explained how to make the Japanese style iced coffees. We did that, and then we made our own oat milk, and we have fantastic iced coffees on the show right now.
That is true. I
would pay good money for that at a cafe.
I am a coffee guy.
Yeah, but so this is the whole point of this company. POP stands for pour over perfection, and we want you to perfect the perfect pour over at home. And it's a constant thing. Perfection isn't real in a way. So like you're constantly chasing it. Therefore, that's what the whole company's about. So it's like an evolving thing. Like we're gonna tweak this. We're gonna make our own oat milk. We're gonna come up with something new.
I do weird shit with coffee all the time that I don't even tell
Endless
Josh about.
Opportunities.
Oh, so many. And not only coffee,
And we
but
get
just
to
like
share them.
all things like even vaguely coffee, beverage. Coffee and beverages in general.
Well, yeah,
I like to try different things.
We did the coffee and soda, or espresso and soda.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I was definitely not into it. Okay, oven. Take the show.
All right. Well, another thing that I wanted to talk about on the show today, as Josh has taken care of his chicken soup or whatever it is that he's doing over there, was how to make cold brew at home. We talked about how to make oat milk at home. Incredibly easy. Cold brew coffee that you can go to the cafe. I know that I typically don't really order cold brew from shops because it's fucking $4, $5 for a cup. That's really expensive for something that you can make in large quantities at home for not very much money. So if you're under the impression that you need, all of this fancy equipment, I'm sure that if you're into coffee, you've seen the toddy buckets, you've seen all sorts of different systems that people have. But really, when you get down to it, cold brew is it's like sun-brewed tea. If you've ever had like Southern tea, like your grandma fills up like a gallon glass jar with water and then leaves like 8 or 9 tea bags and just like sets it out, just leaves it outside on the porch for a week straight. And then you've got a really, really good long brewed tea concentrate.
I love that.
It's
My
fucking
mom's
delicious.
From the South.
But really,
used to have that.
Cold brewed coffee is the same exact thing. You can take a gallon glass jar, grind your coffee. You usually just do a 1-to-1 by weight with, or not a 1-to-1 by weight, but a pound a gallon. A pound of coffee per gallon of water. So get yourself a container, and that's a pretty easy thing to size down. You want to do a half gallon of cold brew, use a half pound of coffee and a half gallon of water. And if you have a bucket or a toddy bucket or you put a spout on something, you'll be able to taste it. But otherwise, mix the two together in a jar, stir it up. Don't put the cap on super tight, cover it, but you don't need it to be sealed in there. It's okay. Don't put it in the fridge. Just leave it out for anywhere from, I don't know, again, this is where the spout really does come in handy, but you can play with it. You can make your own recipe and you really get it down. But anywhere between like 16 and I'd say 20 hours works really, really well for making cold brew.
16 to 20?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some people do a full 24.
Yeah.
And again, you'll hear a lot of people.
I didn't know you could do it shorter.
Yeah, you'll hear a lot of people do a lot of different things. This is just personally, this is how I like to make my cold brew.
Do you think steeping it longer causes any flavor changing?
There's a lot of weird things that happen. Like, a lot of cafes don't make cold brew because it's such a hard thing to get consistent when you have multiple people doing it. Because when you start it and when you pull it, when you decide, oh, this coffee is done, you really have to know. And that's where having the spout on a container does come in handy. Yeah. That's where having the fancy equipment does come in handy because look at the cafe that I roast coffee for. Teddy, who was on the show last week, he'll always, every morning when I go in for coffee, because he made cold brew the night before, he'll bring me over a little touch of it, have me taste it, and he'll be like, hey man, when do you think I should pull this? Whereas if you're making it in a jar, you can't. It's a little bit harder when the grounds are directly in it. You don't have an internal filter and everything. But anyways, back to making cold brew at home and how simple and how easy it is. You can get like a nut, just like a milk bag for nuts. You could set one of those inside of a jar, fill it with coffee grounds, then pour the water in, let it steep, pull the coffee out, pull the bag out, and then squeeze it out, but not too aggressively. Or you could just, when you get done, just strain it with like some cheesecloth, and then, definitely never hurts to put it through a paper filter. You can do that. V60s are really cool because you can set them on top of larger containers and gradually pour things out and into them. So that's a really cool thing that you can do. And again, this is something that you can do, especially if you're buying coffee beans. It's a lot cheaper than... you buy a 3/4 pound bag of coffee. You want to make a half gallon of cold brew. Bam, you spent $18 on a bag of coffee as opposed to $4.50, $5 a cup on your cup of cold brew. Which again is just I don't understand.
Well, they're not even. This is another thing that I held on to. I'm glad I did because this is a good segue. You past episode mentioned that, and you just mentioned it again, that some cafes are misleading people and selling them cold brew when it's not cold brew, it's iced coffee.
Well, no, I mean like...
Well, no, but like they don't want to make cold brew at the cafe because it's too much
work. Yeah, but usually they'll have it... I mean, cafes usually label it as iced coffee if it's not cold brew.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that I was getting... Like, because I've ordered it and been like, I swear to God, this is too strong for it to be iced coffee.
Oh, that's the thing. Oh, you've ordered iced coffee?
Or vice versa. Both. Like, I think that there's, in some cafes, like a cold brew iced coffee mix.
Well, because some cafes serve both.
But are they always labeling them correctly is my question.
Possibly not, but I'd sure hope so.
Well, make sure your cafe is, people. Because I think that there's some...
I just think it's insane. I just think it's insane that people charge so fucking much money for a cup of cold brew.
Or iced coffee.
It's insane. Yeah, or an iced coffee.
That's what I'm saying. I like it's a lot of money.
Maybe it's just that I don't like paying for my coffee, and that's why I make it for myself all of the time.
I hear this every day. I don't pay for coffee every day.
I hate this guy. I haven't paid for coffee in like 6 years. I can't imagine what my life would be like if I had to.
I pay for it.
Sorry, I do have
at times because I consider it market research. As the CEO of a coffee company, I have to do market research. So we have to buy coffee.
Nah.
This guy, though, honestly, as the roaster, you're more in the DIY make it realm, and that's what makes Pop Coffee what it is that we are looking at it from all angles. And cold brew, made at home, and oat milk, also made at home, will save you a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah, big time. That and you don't have to leave the house.
Now we made iced coffee.
Yeah, we made iced coffee today because we were being lazy.
Yeah, well, it would have involved starting it yesterday, which we weren't sure when we were going to record, but our intentions were to do the cold brew and oat milk.
Believe me, we had the best intentions for this.
Always.
But we did still make everything here, including.
I just can't get over how good it is.
I mean, I roasted the coffee that we're drinking. I made it.
Oh yeah, wait.
Did the oat milk.
Yeah, you must feel really more. Yeah, but I mean,
that's what they call farm to table, baby.
Farm to table, baby. And it's not just about with your food. Also, reminder that your coffee is only as good as where it was grown into. Yes, roasting it does a bit to change the taste and it sanitizes the beans and the heat, but it's organic. It is what was in the soil. Is in the coffee.
You'll find it in your coffee.
That's just a reminder.
Only use organic coffee.
That's why. So go to popcoffeeroasters.com and buy some coffee. It's organic and you're going to love it. And you can do all these cool things that we're telling you about. And I highly recommend the oat milk as well as this iced coffee.
I hope that knowing all of these things marginally improves everyone's life. Just by a tiny, tiny bit.
I mean, yeah, I think if you get to a point in your life where you can wake up and just be like, I have an extra 5 minutes. I've lived my life, and now I'm going to grind my own coffee, and I'm going to make myself a personal cup. If you're that type of person, you probably, and you listen to this show, all of these things are going to be vastly help you improve your life.
Yeah, I really hope they help you come in handy.
Because once you cross that threshold where you no longer are like, I press a button, coffee person, or
knowing how to do things is really cool.
Yeah.
It's a really rewarding thing,
Wow, you don't say.
Well, no, I mean, it sounds like a silly thing to say, but, sometimes people, forget.
Lifelong learner over here.
Yeah, sometimes people forget that, knowing how to do things is an incredibly important skill. Even if you don't think that knowing how to do something is important, guess what? You could make it important. It's not that hard. I don't know.
No, you're right.
It's really cool to know things.
We're those types of guys. We like to acquire knowledge, learn new skills, and apply them. And it's just, instead of just buying something, making something that is so rewarding, and making your own oat milk, roasting your own coffee, and
working on your own car.
I don't do that. Yeah, that's one thing I've tried, and I will tell you very much now, I don't do that.
Hey, that's okay, man.
You know what? One day. I want to get an old. Oh, hold on. One day I'm gonna get this right here. I'm gonna buy this one day, and I'm gonna learn to work on this baby.
You do have a newer
Look at that.
car.
What do you feel about? How do you feel? How's that make you feel?
You know, it makes me feel okay.
This puzzle,
just okay.
This puzzle, by the way, never been done in the bag still. Don't.
It's a collector's item. Don't open it. Tape the box back.
1958 Corvette, though. If anyone's got one out there for sale,
it's also a 1958 puzzle.
No, the puzzle was made in
1958, dude. Look at that barcode.
They didn't have barcodes. 2015. Everybody. Dude, if this plant falls on me in another episode, I swear to God.
Yeah, man, you need to watch it. Maybe put it in a bigger pot. That plant's getting pretty big.
True that. Maybe we need to upgrade the pots.
For plants. I think that, covers the do things at home and feel good about it.
Make your own oat milk. Buy a Chemex 8-cup. And make your own cold brew. But be careful, because if you drink coffee, it might lead to just radical free thinking.
Yeah, every morning when I drink my first cup of coffee, my first,
right?
I pretty much just go on a tyrant.
He calls me and just loses it. I'm
a tyrant of free thoughts and ideas.
I pull one of those thoughts out, and it's usually gold. You might have a bunch of crazy ones, but there's one gem in there. So coffee basically stimulates your brain. Obviously, we all know that. But coffee shops is really what I'm trying to hone in on here. I had this idea for a section, and it just flopped. It was horrible.
Oh man, I'm so glad you brought it up, because I was so confused leading up. All week we're talking about this. Josh is like, "Is it okay if I introduce what you were going to talk about it?" Okay, never mind.
I'm just going to talk about the fact that we morphed it into this coffee shop section, which
is. Did you come up with a name for it? Because I know there's a sure on that. We're getting there. You weren't open to the fucking page that you were on for this show?
Coffee house culture.
What is coffee house culture?
And why is it important?
Are you asking me?
You're the coffee guy. I mean, we're both coffee guys, but you're like the guy who doesn't pay for coffee, who makes his own coffee every day. So you do it.
Yeah,
I make my own coffee too.
Yeah, that's true. Coffee, as we all know, there's a lot of different coffee drinkers. And I know that Josh and I, this entire episode, have been advocating about doing things at home and not going to cafes. One, because
we want you to recreate the magic that they can do for you at home.
We want you to,
and still go there and frequent them.
We want you to have the ability to do these things. I do these things at home, but I still go to cafes, or I go to the one cafe, and that's primarily because I have things to do there. But aside from that, I've always loved cafes. Since I was young, it's a place to commune with my friends. Always has been, always hopefully will be.
It's a social gathering place.
Oh yeah, 100%. And do you ever think that possibly somebody wouldn't want that going on?
I don't even think a lot. Yeah, no. Of course they want it going on, but maybe when it first started happening, they didn't want it going on.
Oh, of course, and that's because
Well, when you drink alcohol and you hang out, you get stupider.
Yeah, that's true. When you drink coffee and hang out, you get a little bit smarter.
No, literally, it's science. We did on the pop quiz.
It's science. It makes you smarter.
You got that one wrong. That's the only one you got wrong.
I didn't get any.
Oh wait, no, you didn't. Remember? You got it right. He's the smartest man I know.
Of course. Anyways, we have talked about revolutions and coffee houses on the show several times over before.
The prohibition of coffee. Go check that episode.
All of the times. I know that it was just a couple episodes. We went over several of the times that coffee had been banned.
Why? But you know what? This is why.
One of the times, this is well after coffee was banned in most places. This is well after that. This is right before the French Revolution. And this is a very notable...
Unbanned and banned again and, lots of bans.
Yeah, of course.
But now it's open, it's free, you can drink it.
Oh, yeah. But, not a ban. There was justification for this. I tried to find more revolutions that had actually started or had a pivotal moment that took place at a cafe.
History.
We're immediately before the French Revolution.
I believe it's
Revolution. July 12th, 17... God, I didn't write the year down. It's July 12th, 1778, I think.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the right year. That's definitely the right year.
Anyways,
I know that.
if any of our listeners are familiar with the storming of Bastille, which I'm not a big history guy, so I didn't know a ton about. I did some light reading before the episode. Bastille was essentially a fortification for the city of Paris, for the east entrance. And it was a prison and a barracks. They had giant defenses. The French Revolution was really tipped off by the storming of Bastille, and people realized that this was happening and they could participate because one man, I can't remember his name, it was really French. Sorry if we have any French listeners today.
We do.
We do, yeah, we definitely do. I'm sorry. His name looked incredibly difficult to pronounce, and I didn't want to.
But this was at the Café de Foy.
But this was at the Café de Foy in Paris, and a man rallied a huge crowd, gave out green leaves or feathers. I think it was feathers. Gave out feathers to everybody in a recognition of we're going to rally here, essentially. And the day after this rally, they all stormed Bastille, which essentially, again, really tipped off the French Revolution. It actually did something.
Yeah.
Notable thing about Bastille, too, is that Voltaire had been held there at one point in time.
Yeah.
And I believe Diderot had also been held.
Yeah, Diderot and Rousseau.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, expatriates like Ernest Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, F. Scott Fitzgerald, T.S. Eliot, and others, all of them went to the same cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this cafe was a very pivotal cafe.
Cafes were very,
in a very pivotal time.
Yes.
In France.
For ideas, for the...
Well, in the world. It was really a pivotal time for new thoughts.
Yeah, no, the period...
In the world.
What do they call it in historical terms?
Radical change.
Period of enlightenment?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. That was it. You got it. You're
again,
dude, smartest man.
You know.
Look at this guy.
I'm enlightened.
He's enlightened because he drinks a lot of pop coffee.
But yeah, I mean, like, so shortly after, I know that we had talked about when King Charles II, I believe it was terrified of cafes and their power. His father, was assassinated during a war, so I understand that he didn't want people hanging out and critically thinking sober, hopped up on stimulants together in public places, not liking the government. That ban only lasted 11 days, after which...
11 whole days.
11 whole days. I know, we made it sound so scary. The ban on
But there were other ones that lasted a lot longer. Yes.
So this one was very short, but afterwards, when coffee was much more accepted and, obviously highly sought after, celebrated, all around Oxford, there was a term coined that coined cafes as penny universities, strictly because all of these academics and all of these intellectuals from the university, really notable people like what's his name? Yeah, well, yeah, but you could.
Is that where penny for your thoughts comes from?
I don't know. We could check into that.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Like, seriously,
people started calling cafes penny universities because you could you could go there to learn
houses of philosophy.
You could pay for a cup of coffee and actively engage in
a good
in an intellectual conversation, not at the fucking bar.
Yeah,
which I don't know. We've all been there.
Drunk philosophy.
Hey man,
is a different.
I'm 14 drinks deep. Do you want to talk about God? You want to talk about how this all works, bro? I don't.
Don't be that guy.
If maybe if it's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and
don't talk about.
I'm lightly drinking
15 beers
some coffee.
In. Don't. All right, this is one other thing. Don't talk politics at the dinner table, and don't talk God at the fucking bar.
I just hate when
people have differing opinions on all of these things, and therefore when you're drunk, the filter's off, and then you get in fights, and I've seen it, and I don't want anyone to do that, but coffee's the opposite.
Yeah,
so these people...
At cafes, you get the full experience of just having a nice, pleasant conversation.
You might be a little shaky.
Full of thought and intelligence, and
you might be a little jittery. But no, I've had some of the best conversations of my life at coffee shops.
I met you at a cafe.
Well, the thing is this, I could... Unlike some people at a coffee shop, I would put myself in the shoes of the barista, and so if I actually wanted to talk to you, I'm not going to approach you when you're busy.
Yeah, of course.
Things like
I
that.
hate it when people would talk to me when I'm busy.
And I'm not trying to, we talked about how to hit on your barista, which is a whole separate thing, but how to just become friends with your baristas because you're into coffee and you want to learn more about it, you want to ask them some questions and things like that, like I've done.
Or also, if it's somebody that you're going to see every day of the week.
Well, yeah, when you live in your local coffee shop. But I started doing this on my travels, too, because I started wanting to learn about what makes this coffee shop different from that coffee shop? You know, I remember being in Pennsylvania one time, at this wonderful one in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I can't remember the name of the coffee shop, but they had a menu with the price points all over the place. And so I was like, they're like, are you interested in this? And I'm like, I'm not trying to buy a $100 bag of coffee right now, but can you explain to me what I'm looking at? And they're happy to explain. The baristas are really into coffee too. That's why they work there. They could work anywhere. It doesn't pay well.
Yeah, you're right. There's a reason that I don't. There's a reason that I'm not a barista anymore.
Yeah, you know? It doesn't. Ask any barista. It doesn't. We get John on the show. He's just like, it's what I do. And it's just like, I just do it, and it's because it's
something that I enjoyed, but you know, unfortunately for me, I needed more money.
There's two types of baristas. There's the people who are in coffee, who are coffee people, and then there are people who work in cafes in different capacities, maybe roast or not, or you know, do other endeavors that are coffee related.
Yeah.
Then there are, you know, I'm working to put myself through college, or it's a side job people who are your heavy turnover baristas who you're not going to get to know those ones. But if you do want to get to know your other ones, you know, do it because they're cool people for the most part. I mean, some of them are assholes just like everyone.
Some of them fucking suck.
Yeah, but you'll find out sooner or later that
the other customers that you meet at cafes.
See, that's where it gets weird nowadays because this is the problem. The reason that I even started talking, I think, with you and all of the people from that shop specifically was I didn't want to talk to the other customers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was wrong with the other customers?
They're just deep in their laptops.
Maybe it was different for me.
This is the other customers.
Maybe it was different for me, you know, being somebody that worked there, but I loved speaking to the customers.
Well, that's the thing. I'm too social to... The problem with coffee houses today, I would love to see a coffee shop that says no tech.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool. I don't know. I get some reprieve because I am a smoker. So if I am at a cafe working, I can always and sometimes I will do this, and I have done this in the past where I'm like, man, you know, I just need to interact with a human being for, you know, a few minutes, and you know, it's busy in here. Baristas are busy, or I don't really know them, or they don't really seem like the kind of person I want to speak to, and I see somebody walk outside for a cigarette, and I don't care what anybody says about this, but I'll literally be like, now seems like a good time to go smoke a cigarette. Smoking is a social activity. Not to promote smoking. I'm so sorry. Don't smoke.
No, but I've quit smoking.
But that is a reprieve that I get. You know what I mean?
The conversations that happen outside the coffee shop. You know, another place I see people hanging out smoking cigarettes all the time, like a coffee shop.
Where?
Are those little nail salons. The dudes have the coolest outfits.
Yeah.
All the Vietnamese dudes outside those nail salons, right down the street here. I swear to God, they have the coolest Nikes and jumpsuits, and they're smoking cigarettes, and they should have a cortado in their hand too. They got that vibe. They're just out there, the sun on you know, in the morning, outside the shop.
Oh yeah.
It's a vibe.
It's nice.
And if you're that type of person,
you
know what we're talking about.
I hate to bring it up, but I really miss pre-COVID. My neighborhood cafe.
I mean, I think
really
with
miss
everyone.
The old mug. You remember the days when you would walk up to the mug and there'd be you know, half a dozen to 20 people sprawled out outside, just hanging out, drinking coffee together.
Yes,
just mingling, and it was just
the transients. I loved all of those people.
Oh yeah,
some of the people were
some of the transients.
Yeah, they were
nice.
Well, no, some of them were nice.
Mm-hmm.
Don't always some of those.
Don't always judge a book by their cover.
You know, one of our favorite. I'm not going to bring names up, but actually, this is a good segue to a story that's personal to me. One of our favorite, he was the old guy who's now doesn't live in the country anymore.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna make me cry.
No, I love this man. He's great, but he is very complex. You can't judge a book by its cover because a friend of mine at one point said, man, this guy, he's wearing shoes without socks. He must be poor and not be able to afford socks. And I'm like, no, that's not the case at all.
Yeah, no,
he's absolutely a complex person and very learned and
this was a
smart man
who would come in every day,
wear socks with his shoes,
get a cup of coffee. His name was Daniel. He's one of the sweetest men in the whole wide world.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna give his name, but you're his friend, so I was I just wanted to bring him up because he's probably the only guy that I never really talked to him much, but he's cool.
Dude, you know what's really fucked up is the last time that I saw him, he was supposed to go back to Georgia, the country.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He was
supposed to leave for Georgia, and I gave him a hug. Granted, I've known this man for 4.5 years. I've been seeing him almost every single day for 4.5 years.
So
I go to give him a hug. I'm like, Daniel, I'll see you around. I give him a hug, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna be back in 6 months. It's no big deal. Because I was like, yeah, I'm probably never gonna see you again. He's really old, you know. But that was 2.5 years ago, and The 6 months that he was supposed to be back ended way before COVID. I just think that he said that to make me feel better.
Yeah.
But he's still kicking it.
Really crazy.
We're friends on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, great eyebrows.
Oh yeah. But no, when I first started working there, like nobody really paid attention to him, or nobody talked with him. They kind of just like left.
Yeah, I knew him from
alone.
before then because like I was going there before you got hired even, and like this, I was a regular, he's a regular. Like we never talked, but like we had an accord, like a head nod or.
Oh yeah, the man's cool. He smokes. He smokes Misties. He smokes really really thin, longer cigarettes.
Just like you've always been told, don't judge a book by its cover because.
Oh, he was a bodybuilder at one point in time and also a rally car driver.
Yeah, that's why. That's why you don't judge a book by its cover.
Whole long story.
That's
literally one of the most interesting men I've ever met in my entire life.
Wait,
it's fucked up.
I felt like back to the coffee. So basically, the coffee shop for me, the reason I had this idea, the one that flopped and then came and turned into what we're talking about now, is coffee shops don't just represent a place to grab a cup of coffee. And now in COVID, I guess you are grabbing them. You don't in your car,
which is a bummer.
Yeah, it's like a to-go coffee shop is a thing now, and drive-throughs. But the reason not to go to a drive-through and the reason to not grab your coffee to go is because there's this whole coffee house culture that we want to. Some people get it, some people don't. They're like, why would I do that? Well, I started this business while sitting in a coffee shop. I started my other businesses while sitting in coffee shops. I come up with some of the great, most life-changing ideas, things that I've implemented in my life at coffee shops because when the right coffee shop has the right atmosphere and the right people and the energy's right.
It's a homey place.
Yeah. Well, it can lead to, in history, revolution. It can lead to life revolutions for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it also is just a hangout, and it's just a place to maybe take a load off. Now, I'm not telling you to, Teddy in our last interview, he said that he's like, a psychologist for people, and they try to give their barista like way too much insight in their life and unload all their problems on them, but. Honestly, a lot of baristas listen, and then they try to help.
They're the daytime bartenders.
Yeah.
Believe me, nobody, baristas don't care if you want to talk about your personal life. It's just about how you present it.
In a Starbucks age.
If you, lock somebody into a conversation and unload your problems on them, that's fucked up. If you genuinely attempt to make a connection and then talk about it, nobody's going to get mad.
In an age where it's, like, a Starbucks is so clinical, so routine, you just go in, you do your thing, you're out. They're not asking about who you are. They don't care. But if you have an actual coffee shop in your community, because there are still I lived in a city that didn't even have anything other than a Starbucks. So if you have a dope coffee shop, go support small business and go check it out. Because in a Starbucks era, it's so unfriendly and so to go. You got to keep the coffee house culture alive, and that's why I came up with this segment, because I'm trying to make sure that with the pandemic and everything that these coffee houses, a lot are going out of business right now. And for everybody that's staying in business,
thank you.
We're here. We support you.
We want you to be around.
Roaster. We want, hit us up. We'll send you some coffee. If you like it, we'll give you a great deal. I don't know.
A great deal. Yeah, we will. We will do
get
that,
paid.
actually. What's that?
Everyone's got to get paid.
Oh yeah, big time.
Even the baristas, so tip them well.
Always remember to tip your baristas.
And on that note, I think
And always remember that it's a great time for a cup of coffee, especially when it's safe, indoors with your friends or outdoors with your friends. or wherever, I guess.
Oh, subscribe.